Great. Thank you.
Ready. I'm almost done in mine.
Okay. Are you in that one? Okay,
Yes,
it's
like
fine.
that.
I'll just turn the lights in here.
Give me
Cool.
2 minutes.
Mhm.
You ready? Okay, that's it. You got the number? Yep.
Cool. Alright. We'll close this. And then I'm gonna run this recorder so if I miss anything. Alright. Cool. Like I said, I am not the assigned detective, but Detective Beagle is out, so I'm just covering for him. I read the report over. I noticed that there was reports of rape from your father, Lindsay.
Yes, sir.
Just because I know some people define the rape term as like a broad thing. Can we go into what the details of like the rape was?
Yes. Okay. Okay, well, I kind of wanted to start at the very beginning.
Sure, we do that. Yeah.
Okay, but I definitely want to get into the details of the rape as well. Oh, man. This is really hard for me, just to say. Okay.
Your time.
Yeah, I really love my dad, and it's been really difficult to wake up this year and see in my memories all the terrible things that happened to me. Because yeah, it was a very successful brainwashing, and I think all my relatives and friends would agree. And because I was so out of it, my mom actually told some people and told me. See, so let me just share a tiny bit, then,
Sure.
then I'll go to the beginning.
Yeah.
My mom said that there's certain witnesses that she told these things to, and I've got a list of people. Oh yeah, I've got my iPad. I want to show you some pictures and give you some names. Thanks. And so, because this goes way back to when I was a kid, and I've written about 36 letters over the last 3 weeks maybe to like old friends and family and institutions that I needed to tell because I think they were reading me. My mom was saying like nobody knows he did this because they look at you and you know they can't tell and you don't say anything about it. And you know I was taught and my dad threatened the living daylights out of me to never ever even think about his rapes or assaults until I turned 50 years old. And so I didn't. And I was very little when he did it. And so he told me things like he could read my mind and he would know and God would be angry and they would divorce and nothing good would come out of it. And he would test me. And it became kind of a joke too, because he was a very strange man. I think he's a psychopath because I have a BA in psych and I study that at SDSU to try to determine the pathologies in my family. So let me start at the beginning. My grandfather, Hank Gastrich, who lived down the street, he was a naval aviator and fought in World War II in Korea. And he brought home a laser pen that you can't just buy online. It's not just a pointer. It's a little more powerful than that. And what he did, he took it and put it through his head and put it in his eyeball and played around with it after his father said, don't touch it. And he ended up blinding himself with it. He's been coy about the exact blindness, but he's had glasses and one eye is really bad and one eye is bad. According to him, he said he's going blind. And so when he did that as a kid, he also blinded his brother, Casey. And so thanks for your patience.
Absolutely.
There's so much information and I'm trying to sift through it in order. And I don't want to go off on rabbit trails too far that don't matter. But this does because he stole this pen and his brother Casey, they both went to the army. My dad was drafted, my uncle joined, and my dad didn't fight. He left after about 2 years. I'm not exactly sure why he was discharged. He said it was sort of a health type thing. It might have been a mental thing. But my grandpa, my uncle, and my aunt, Becky, all approached me independently, and my mother, and told me about my father's weapons, about the laser, and about another weapon he has too. My Uncle Casey was a combat veteran. He lives in Alpine. I wrote him a letter 2 weeks ago. He wanted me to tell him if my dad ever used these weapons on me. I don't know why exactly, so I let him know. And my mom said that his wife is my star witness because she knows all about the rapes and she knows all about the weapons.
What was her name?
Casey Gastrich is married to, let me get it for her. Rayanne is her name.
Brianne?
Yeah, Casey Gastrich lives on Bridle Run. Oops. Her name is Rayanne Gastrich. I can't remember her maiden name if that matters.
No, it's okay.
Okay. She's supposed to be a very important witness because my mom told her everything about that. And she knows from Casey about the weapons and stuff. My grandpa said they used the weapons on him and that they were going to use them on me. And he said he can't control my dad. My dad's done some bad things and that he wished he didn't do them. But he said he did them to him too, and he hated it, he didn't like it. He was screaming and yelling at him and he knew what was going on. And then he finally just gave in, and that was his advice to me. He's like, you can't win. He's like, they're gonna hurt you, or he's gonna hurt you. My mom kept saying there's no they. She said, it's just your father. He wants you to think he's got an army behind him and he's got accomplices and friends and family and all these people doing these things with him. But it's him. It's him doing this stuff. And I didn't think about these things until now. And until I turned 50, they're all just repressed memories. So my grandpa warned me. He's passed, sadly. My uncle warned me. My uncle told me specifically about the tooth one that he did. He said, man, wait until you get it in the tooth or in the gum. And he made this face. And he's like, oh, it hurts so bad. He's like, you'll never forget that. You can make your jaw blow up. And that happened to me in my Portland apartment. Wounds just started opening up on my body out of nowhere. And I called the police and filed a report. I lived in Hilo, Hawaii in 2024. And I started reporting to the police there because I started getting random wounds for no reason. And then in Portland, when I moved there last July, the same thing started happening. And I think I was being stalked. I had mail stolen and my door vandalized. And I was on great terms with all my neighbors. And there's no reason. So my dad was the kind of psychopath that would confess to a lot of things in advance, kind of prophesy kind of thing. I'm going to do this to you. And then my mom would tell me sometimes, because I wouldn't get it, or I would think he was joking. I really thought that like all this stuff was kind of a joke when he said it, because I wasn't applying the knowledge that I was repressing. And so she would have to tell me, and she would sometimes do it in private. She thought she was being listened to in our house. And she said that she did not think that she could get away, that she thought that my father would chase her or chase us, and that he would always be after us and harming us, and because he raped us and he doesn't want us to talk about it and he worries about it. So very, very sadly, according to my mother, and you're gonna hear that a lot because I don't have my own truths, I'm just telling you what I've been told and what I've seen. And my mother said that he used his laser all over my body from the time I was a baby. And I'm seeing the marks now. She said he used it from head to toe. Everywhere from the tip of my penis, which I can see a mark from my ball sack, from my butthole, from my feet, to my hands, to my head. And then I'll show you, if you don't mind, let me get through the speaking and then I can show you the marks and things.
Sure. Nothing private, right? Everything like ordinary I don't need to see, but other stuff, sure, like in other areas.
Sure, I'm not in any hurry to show you anything private, but whatever you want to see, I'll show you.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah. So another point of reference, since this happened when I was 6 years old, he damaged my rectum. My mother had, ever since, she was very, very angry that he raped her and me, and very angry that he said I couldn't think about it until 50.
Mm-hmm.
But what she did was start planning for 50 and saying, okay, now this person knows this, I want you to talk to them, do this and that and another thing. And she thought she'd be dead. My dad had a lot of veiled threats for her and kind of openly said, yeah, you're not going to live that long, you're going to die before he turns 50, because she was belligerent.
Mm-hmm.
She was a good person, a good Christian lady, went to Shadow Mountain, had Bible study friends, and she was the antithesis of him.
She's passed away, correct?
Yeah, she passed in 2017. She told me, she turned to me and said one day in our living room at Fairglen Road when I was a kid, said, don't let your father cremate me.
Mm-hmm.
I want a graveside in Cajon where you can visit it and your friends. And cremated her anyway. So
Give me a second. Take time. If you want me to grab you some water, I can grab you some water too.
please.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Yeah, that'd be great.
1 second.
Okay. Thanks. It's so hot there. So my mother told me about these weapons that he had, that he was using, and it's not just the laser. There's at least 2 other weapons that I know about. She said that he had one weapon that irritates scar tissue, and she thinks that we might have implants in us. And she said that he wanted to, or he tried to stick implants in us for different reasons, and in our ear or in our nose or in our skin.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a couple of places on my body, one that still kind of shows up where have you ever seen anything like this, like that little, see that little hole there? Looks like a collapsed pore. Yeah, that is one of the, I don't know what, that is one of the targets or whatever I think he called it. So I'm not military,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm a little uncertain about whether these implants, if they're in me or not, and if they're in me, if they're used in a tracking way, which I kind of doubt, or if they're used in a way to deliver pain to other parts of my body, which I kind of think it could be happening. I don't know. All I know is I've been having pains all over, like where those scars, exactly where the scars are, and new wounds opening up, and ear pain and earaches. And let me do a quick aside, because my father said that, my father implied that he put something in both my ear and my mom's ear, and that my mom needed professional ear cleanings to get the earwax out, because the earwax sealed it and couldn't get it out. And then he said that he would pay for mine when I got old enough to need one, that I would need one day. And she said, well, yeah, he will, because of what you're doing to him and what you're gonna do. And he said, I can't get it at just a regular he was right when he said you can't just go anywhere and have them take your earwax out, because I went to Zoom Care in Portland and I couldn't get it out. I've got to go to like a real ENT, and I've been hearing buzzing, and I have insurance, so it's on my short list of things to do. And so I'm concerned about that, because she said he also has another weapon that he talks to her through, like the other room. She could hear words and his voice and voices. And I apologize for flashing back, but my father said that voices guided him to hit his brother with a laser, that he listened to voices in his head. He didn't want me to tell that to people. He wanted me to tell people, your father didn't listen to his father. That was his error. But maybe that was his error, yeah, but also listening to voices. And another critical piece of information is, he says, my Uncle Casey got his soldier friends at a soldier party or something to sodomize my dad, while he had a blindfold on, and made him masturbate. He claims that's a thing that they do in the military and a rite of passage, and he claims that everybody gets raped and rapes everybody anally in the military. And my mother was horrified, and me too, and I was forbidden to join the military. And my dad said both of my uncles, Ross Gastrich and Casey Gastrich, that live here, Ross Air Force, Casey the Army, raped somebody, a soldier, and was raped, and that's how they do it. It's like a club or something. And my mom was horrified, going, what are you talking about? Are you still doing this? Do you fly around the country and rape men, or do you do this or that? And so he claims that's what turned him into wanting anal sex. He said there's nothing like it, and it's great, and it's intense, and after you have it, it's all you want or something. I don't know, I'm not gay and I'm not into anal sex, and I've never had anal sex in my rear end, and I don't want anal sex in my rear end. He also said that I would become a rapist or something. And when I was a little kid, I just remember this, and my mom, because you can imagine, there's so much information I started remembering, and I still am, and that's why I'm coming back. Because I remember my mom saying, look at this little boy, you think he's going to be a rapist? She said, you raped me and I'm not a rapist. And he's like, yeah, well, it's different. And my mom's like, yeah, well, I mean, he's trying to apply his soldier club stuff to me. And he's not going to rape anybody, Rex, and he's not going to be gay. He likes girls. He's going to like girls. He's going to find a wife like me. I mean, so I don't know. The guy was just real sick, and he wanted me to be gay a little bit, but didn't want to push me that way, because he wanted me to, and I'm not anti-gay, I like gay people, because he figured that I would take better care of my damaged rectum if I was gay, and I would eat much less or something, be a waif, and that maybe I would like it or something. But he claims that everybody likes it and wants anal sex again after they have it. And my mom said, no way. Rape victims? No, they don't want anal sex again. Not at all. And she was right. He was just way off the deep end. And she actually wanted to leave at that point, I recall. Because she said, you're grooming him to be a rapist, aren't you? That's what you're doing. And she's like, I just can't deal with this anymore, Rex. She's like, we just gotta leave. We're gonna go. She threatened him many times for divorce, but she was afraid, and she was a homemaker for like 20 years. She took off work to raise me. So she just went back to Granite Hills High School to work after I went to SDSU. And she was there for the shooting, and then she had to take a year off, and then she got obese and struggled and had to have a knee replacement. And she was a really nice lady, just a little naive and a little too trusting with my father and some things. But so this one weapon where she said that he could hear voices, she could hear voices in his voice, and she would get upset and say, stop. And she's like, I know it's you, just cut it out, Rex. And so I started hearing voices last year, and I told the police in Hilo, and they said, record it. He said, get a recorder, hit record, and then for 10, 15 minutes when you hear the voices, and then play it back, and then you'll know if they're in your head or outside. Because I thought they're coming from outside. And it turned out most of them were in the head. Yeah, and I've got good mental health. You know, I've got a BA in psychology. I've been in college for many years. I'm applied to grad school in August. I want to go get my master's in education. I'm a business owner, self-employed. I mean, I'm not a fool, and I don't assume stuff. And I try to be methodical and intelligent in everything I do. I'm a very healthy person. So apparently, and he bragged about it too. He said he's got these, he never showed me the machine, but he showed the machine to my mom, and she described it to me. The one that irritates the scar tissues. And so I really don't like the voices. They've been intrusive. It's been hard to study. I just applied for course forgiveness for the last year at the University of Hawaii because I was taking classes and I didn't do very well, and it was just because I was so distracted. And I hear like a ringing in my ears right now, which is pretty recent. I usually don't hear that. He said that he was going to stop attacking me after I came to El Cajon to seek justice. He said this long time ago. That yeah, he could torture me or use his weapons on me until a certain point, but then he would probably lay off me, or at least for the most part when I came down here, so he would get away with it, basically. And so my mom discussed with him about going to prison many times, and sometimes he took it the wrong way, but she was serious, and she wanted him to turn himself in. And I've asked him to turn himself in too this year. So apparently what my mom said that he did to her was he took his laser and made marks on her body, kind of like mine, and then he used the other weapon to irritate them and make her legs blow up. And so to slow her down and keep her subservient. And she thought that her friends that she walked around the track at Gross Mountain High School with were, he thought that they were getting too nosy or too knowledgeable about like what happened to her and me, and that they might actually do something. So he didn't want her walking with them or something. So yeah, and I'm just recalling this, these things, and this is so sad because she did suffer a lot with big legs. And I remember her saying, like, this isn't how my legs were supposed to look, this is because of abuse from your father. I used to be skinny and walk all over the place, and you remember this and that, and I said, yeah. But the odd thing is my dad, she said that she thinks that somebody, maybe Casey, hit my dad in the back with a laser, or maybe he did it to himself, and the machine that he was using to irritate her scar tissue in her sleep irritated his back. So he's had a back pain, back problem, because he was hurting himself while he was hurting her. And I've had bizarre pains all over my body over the last 6 months, 12 months. Left leg, right arm, left arm, here, rear.
These other two devices that are weapons, have you seen them?
I have not seen them. He's never shown them to me.
Have you seen the laser?
I have not, no. He didn't want me to see them or use them or know too much about them, just enough to know what he was doing. He also told me the method to overcome them. And there's another critical thing I have to tell you. Mm-hmm. My mom said that my dad has worms, that he gave himself worms, or he hit himself with a laser and created something like a deviated septum, and then he got worms somehow and they lived in there. And she said that he gave her worms too, and that he was going to give me worms, and that he created a deviated septum with a laser behind he might have done it through this right there. Mm-hmm. behind my nose to create some kind of dead tissues or something. And then I lived in Hawaii, then I lived in Miami for 4 months, then went back to Hawaii in 2018. And I stopped on my parents' house. My mom had passed, but I stayed like a couple nights on my way back to Hawaii. And I think it was then when he infected me with some worms, because I thought it was travel and it was the altitude, but right afterwards I had a little black spot right there, and I was like, what is that? And I see it in pictures. I've got the picture evidence when I got back to the islands, and it slowly got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it started to be on this one, and this one got bigger and bigger, and I was told like this is a reservoir or something. I've got a great eye doctor in town, Dr. Greg Giles, who I've talked to about some of these things. And he noticed something really wrong with this eye. I was missing an optic nerve. Yeah, which I wasn't born that way. I had 20/20, 20/15, and now I have 20/20, 20/60. And I've had some pains and issues with it. My father said that he wanted me to wear an eye patch. He thought that would be cool. And so he had intended to damage my eye for a long time. How exactly he did it or when exactly he did it is very difficult it's hard to put my finger on it.
Okay. And then regarding the sexual assault.
I do have an idea though.
When is your idea?
In 2012, I was living in Long Beach and I suffered something very strange with my eye. This red light, this stranger came and approached me and was doing something on my side, and I didn't think much of it. And then all of a sudden there's this red flash of light, and the stranger slowly walked off, and I thought, that guy looks a lot like my father. And I had just moved there from San Diego.
Was you reported to Long Beach?
I did. I reported it to them, but I didn't understand what happened at the time, so I reported it later. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I moved from Long Beach in 2014. So yeah, I did call them about it. But see, what happened was I lost vision about 2 weeks later at a Starbucks, which was weird. So there was the damage or the weakening or something, and then I got ill. I got a TB test to coach soccer, and I was about to go on an interview, and I got a bad cold. So it was just blowing streams of snot out, and I was up there and just blowing. All of a sudden, my eyesight, it went fuzzy, and it's never been different. This one's fantastic. I could read and see. This one's fuzzy, and I have trouble all from then in that moment. And my mom said that my dad's brother Ross used a machine on me when they were doing things. Like, for instance, when I had a piano recital, that he used it to irritate my scar tissue and mess up my piano recital when I was a kid, and even cause some incontinence problems. I had some little job at a wedding from my friend. My dad hired a man that he could have anal sex with at work named Dave Moen, and my mom hated that idea after she figured it out. He had all this lube he was going to work with one day, and she said, well, what are you doing with all this? Where are you going? And then she kept asking him questions and figured it out. And he said that this Dave Moen guy was qualified to do the computer job stuff, the IT work at Rex Ford Personnel Agency in San Diego with my father. That's his business name, Rex Ford, kind of like an alias. It's his middle name separated, Lindsay Rexford Gastrich. And I went to his wedding to Carmen, and I'm about to write them a letter. I write her specifically, because my mom, I remember saying I should tell her because she might not have known about all this. Something bad happened there. I think I had an accident, and I think it had to do with these things and these plans, because my mom was irate. And I also had an accident when I was 16, running around the track at Granite Hills High School for no reason. So I've had a little bit of incontinence problem because of my damaged rectum, and I haven't recognized it was from that, the rapes, but he taught me how to squat wipe, and he taught me this turmeric trick to get the worms out of my eyes. and it worked. And I could show you pictures. It was terrible. Over the last few months, they've been coming out. I put turmeric here, first here, and then push it up so they don't come down. I put turmeric here, and then push it down. And then I put turmeric up my nose, breathe it in. And then after a few minutes, they start coming out. And I wipe them. He taught me how to wipe my eyeballs to get them out. He taught me to be very careful. And then I had worms coming out of my eyes, my ears, and my rear end. I went to the hospital in Portland 3 times. The last 3 months, in June, right before I came here, in May, and in April.
Reference the sexual assault when you were younger.
Mm-hmm.
What details do you know?
So the sexual, let's see here. So there's one, let me say one last thing about the worms, and I'll do sex assault. There's one lady, one specific lady, and I sent her letter to yesterday in last night's mail, named Joan Grauer Holtz. And apparently she's a reputable woman in her late 70s from church. And I don't know if she knows about the rapes, but my mom told me that she told her everything about the lasers and the worms and the deviated septum. So I wrote her a letter just saying, can she call you and tell you what she knows and things like that? Because she might know more than me. My mom opened up and told her everything, and I have her name and address and phone number if you want it. But I'll give you a witness list when I'm done. Okay, and I'll tell you who I've contacted and if it jogs my memory. But so the sexual assaults, I had to report crimes this. I told you about the San Diego sheriff too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we used to live on Molson. I think I gave you the address before. Okay. Cool. Well, pardon me. Pardon me. So, okay, the rapes first began happening at my first house, apartment. They called it a condo, but my dad did. But my mom said it was really like an apartment, or like a duplex. Mm-hmm. It was upstairs, downstairs, connected to another building, another apartment or something. Yeah. So when my mother was gone, which was rare, my dad used to wake me up and give me something to drink to sedate me and then rape me in the rear end. And it hurt, and I hated it, and I wanted them to stop.
When you say rape, can you describe what that is? Like, was he putting a foreign object, his penis, a finger?
Sure, yeah, he put his penis in my rear end.
How many times has this happened?
I think it happened maybe about, I wish I knew the number. I'm not certain. I know it didn't stop until we moved to the new house, and he did it whenever my mom was gone and he could get away with it. And so I want to say about a dozen times or so.
So it stopped when you guys went to the new house?
Well, this is the thing. He said that he used to give me cough syrup, and it might have been laced with something to make me sedated. He said he drugged me once at church. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember now, feeling like I was hallucinating, or like something was really wrong with my body, walking the stairs. And he said so, and he said to hold on to him. And my mom was upset, but he drugged me before we went to church, I think, so I would feel little warm fuzzies there and want to be a Christian or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's had a real twisted agenda for me. So what he used to do with the rapes was at the condo, he would give me some kind of syrup, like a cough syrup or like NyQuil. I think it was some kind of like Robitussin or NyQuil, something with alcohol that would knock out a child, basically. But then at the new house, he would give me something much stronger, like gin or something like that, he said. And I don't remember anything then. I blacked out.
Okay. When did you guys move to the new house?
When I was 7 years old, I think we moved there.
And then, so you're not too sure if anything happened in your house?
I know that at the condo he raped me in my bed, and then he always wanted me to take a shower afterwards. And in the house he raped me in the closet. And I remember him choking me and said if I tell anybody he's going to choke me to death. He said, look how I can put my hands around your whole entire neck. And he said, look, can you do that to me? And I said, no. He said, yeah. He said, so you can't do it to me, but I can do it to you.
Is the new house the North Mallson address?
No, that's one on 1558 Fairglen Road. That's where he lives now.
Okay.
And I remember he used to wear like a Star Wars mask and pulled up to drink a beer and would listen to headphones when he did it. And my mom hated it. She said it was so impersonal, that she was looking the other way and it hurt, and that he would do the same thing, not with a mask, but with the radio.
So earlier so at the condo, was your mom ever around for those incidents?
Was she ever around for what?
The incidents, like the sexual assault?
No.
Was she ever around at the new house?
Well, my dad claimed that she knew and claimed that she peeked in or something, but I don't know. Somehow she figured it out, or she found out, and she was very, very upset and she wanted to leave. And he lied to her about me and my intentions, and he pretended we had some kind of deal, and he said I might be gay, and I wanted it, or I liked it, or something crazy like that. She didn't believe it at the time, and he said, well, just give it time, you'll believe me. And she gave it time, and she believed less because he was lying.
And all these sexual acts, were they sodomy, or was there like oral copulation?
No, there wasn't the oral copulation. There was the sodomy and other touching. He touched me other places, like on my sides and on my back and on my neck.
What about your penis?
Not much touching on my penis.
When was the last time this like occurred, like the sodomy?
My mom said that it happened until I was almost 10 years old. So that would be 9. I would say 8, but she says 9.
All right.
Okay, can I please take a look at what I have a document here, things that I really want to tell you. Let me skip to this one just first. I've got 2 friends. One of my friends had breathing problems because he said that I stunk. My mom said he doesn't stink, and if he does, it's because of what you did to him. And my friend Charlie Tang, he said he got a deviated septum boxing.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, I said, do you think you might have had it before that? I just asked him that the other day, and he said, yeah, maybe. And he was my best friend growing up, and he'd do sleepovers sometimes. And I had to warn him that my dad might have done something to him. And he still might. And then my other friend, Mike Petruzak, who's on our street there, 18 Fairglen Road, he had 2 brothers, and he had a breathing problem, and one of his brothers died. My father said that he thought he could give people skin cancer with his weapon. And I'll show you the marks, the recent marks that look like skin cancer that I think he did secretly on me. But Mike Petruzak's 2 brothers both died, and Chris Petruzak was an El Cajon police officer. And Ted Petruzak died from skin cancer. But see, I recalled something else important. My dad caught wind that the Petruzaks, Ted, said, what, does your dad just sit around with his thumb up his ass all day? And he got it out of me. And then he was irate, and he took it as being outed, and like my mom was worried for him, and he thought his days were numbered and that he was going to get caught at that point, because he claims that he was raped, and that's why he leaves the poop stains in his underwear, because he has a damaged rectum. And so when they said, Ted said that, it made him think that he A, knew about his being raped, B, knew he was raping people, C, knew he had an incontinence problem, and just maybe more. And he worried that I opened up and told him stuff, or my mom told his mom stuff, or, he just started tripping out really bad. So I told Mike the other day, like, I don't know, I want to learn more about Ted's cancer, because I think my dad could have had something to do with it. He claimed that all he would have to do is put the box somewhere. He said he might be able to do it with a drone, or might be able to just go stick it somewhere. I lived on the top floor of an apartment at Portland on Pearl Studios on the 4th floor, and they were saying that, and I was thinking it could be above me, maybe he dropped it up and above me. So I really hope he didn't hurt any of my friends, but he very well could have hurt those two people. And we're getting into another thing that I want to tell you before I hit my list. It's just, people are scared in my family of my father, pretty much all of them, except for my combat veteran Uncle Casey. He's not as scared, because he jumped out of helicopters and earned a Purple Heart and a Silver Star. And so like my Aunt Becky, she said that he used it on her, the scar tissue weapon, and it made her tingle and itch, and she hated it. He says he can do it on nipples. Yeah, he said this is basically scar tissue, and he could make nipples hard and do stuff with nipples. And now I need to talk to my ex-wife, because I think he did it to her, and caused some problems for us in our marriage, because she had really sore nipples for no reason after we got married, and she shouldn't have had them at the time, I don't think. We haven't talked in many, many years, and so, but it's going to be important that I talk to her. She knew what happened to me somehow. I was married to her for a decade, and she used to speak in codes and things, and I was clueless. I didn't get it at all, and she knew it too. She was like, she kind of pitied me, but somehow, I don't know, she either figured it out or my mom told her. So I'm going to go to my in-laws' house, ex-in-laws here, real soon, and talk to them, because I need to just come forward and say, hey, this was a blind spot. I wasn't trying to trick anybody with my issues. I was brainwashed, and they were not in my head. And see what they know, and see what they've been told, and so on and so forth.
What's your list?
For some reason, sorry.
There you go.
For some reason, he wanted to. At first, my mom thought that he was hitting me with lasers to make me cry, and so she would leave with me, because he didn't want to raise me, and he didn't want to be a father at that time, and just wanted to get rid of us. And then she thought that he tried to kill me, and he wanted me dead. And then she thought that he figured he couldn't kill me anymore. And then he started worrying about me wanting to kill him after figuring out that he was trying to kill me. And so he said that he made my inner hip bleed with the laser on this side, and it's hurt for a while. And I've gotten some strange injuries, like when I was 16, I got a quad injury on my right side playing soccer for him on the field at Christian High School. My senior year, totally screwed up my senior year. I didn't get a scholarship like I could have, and I didn't make like first team all CIF, which I maybe could have gotten second or something. But because I was pretty good, and I liked it a lot. But this quad injury was likely because of this hip injury over here, and I'm not sure how he hurt me as it was getting better. He floated a lot of fake stories. He floated fake stories that I wanted to have sex with my aunt and my cousin, and he told others that I was gay because of how I stood and held my arm. But see, he attacked me, and so I've got weird ways I stand because my body dealt with it. Apparently basically what happened was he hit me with these lasers and my body grew really strangely. And then I was standing, trying to balance myself. My mom said, he's not trying to make a statement, he's trying to stand. You know, and then he would hit me with the other weapons to try to make me stand differently. And then I would stand differently in a way that he didn't want me to stand again. And so then I had two different ways that I was holding my body that embarrassed him and made him angry, that he wanted to change and felt like he should change, and that causing me pain was a valid way to make me change the way I stand. I'll show you these ways when I show you my body in a second. I had a problem with my taint, like super, super, super itchy from about 16 to about 20. And she said that he spied on me everywhere I lived. And she said he likes to see us touch ourselves or play with ourselves. And what he really likes is seeing us touch our butt or put things up our butt. So he had two remedies for his rapes to me. One of them was to harden coconut oil and put it up my rear end, like laying down on my side. Mm. And then another one was to eat vaporized cannabis flowers. So I tried both of those last year, and they're okay treatments. She was blown away that he was singing pot's praises because he was so anti-pot in our house. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, if it's so good for you, why don't we have it? And you know, he really wanted her to suffer. He didn't want her to have these remedies, but he wanted me to know them and have them for when I got older. And that made her upset too. But so he gave me the turmeric remedy and then the other remedy. And my mom said that the turmeric kept disappearing when she bought it. She said it would be, and you need black pepper to make it like 2,000% more powerful, according to what Grok said yesterday. Yeah, it increases the bioavailability of it, like supercharges it, like forget ibuprofen, but, and he also said ibuprofen. He said that was the way I could fix the jaw issue when he hit my jaw with a laser. And she was rolling her eyes at all this stuff. She's like, the military, and see, he claims these are weapons that they use on AWOL soldiers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he said that when soldiers embarrass the military and they're sitting around and fat and lazy and not doing stuff, especially right after training, that soldiers get together independently and secretly hit them with these weapons to change their behavior.
When was the last time you believe he used a laser on you?
No, the laser, that's a tough question. I think that the laser works only when they're real up. For just points of reference, let's refer to one as a laser pen and one as a wave weapon. Mm-hmm. Okay, because I think that's the most accurate way to describe these things. I think the wave weapon irritates the scar tissue, which in turn causes pain in that area. And I'm a little uncertain which weapon opens wounds and how he does that. Maybe it's the same one, I'm working off the implant, or maybe it's the same one without it. But as far as just the laser on my body is concerned, I kind of don't think he's used that on me. I think he might have used that on me in probably about 5 years ago, I think. Yeah. I think about 5 years ago in Maui is when he used that on me.
So the most recent for all the lasers?
5 or 6 years ago. My dad flew to Maui after my mom died. Let me just hold that question, please. Mm-hmm. Okay. My mom died in 2017 and I was living in Hawaii, and she wasn't supposed to die in surgery. Mm-hmm. And also would have been there. I mean, I love my mom. And so I got this horrible, horrible email chain, just hoping it was going to turn around and sound different, and it never did. And I don't know exactly what happened to her in the recovery. Let me tell you what I do know. Yeah. She said that she was going to get a surgery that was like diverticulitis surgery, and that he made her say that. She said that it was actually like colorectal surgery, but she thought that would reveal that he raped her anally, and that she made her say that it was like diverticulitis surgery. So at first she had a colostomy bag, and apparently they said they put it on upside down by accident and it was leaking. And my dad's been a germaphobe forever. Since I was 12, he taught us what the military taught him for cleanliness. He took me through weeks of like training, not combat, but just the clean stuff. How to clean myself in a tub and how to not contaminate myself, because since he blinded himself, he was horrified that he would lose sight in the good eye. So we've had a house cleaner my whole life who never cleaned his underwear. And so my mom went in there I suspect he might have done something to her in the recovery phase, or poisoned her before the surgery when she died. And she died on the death certificate from sepsis. And the story they told me, or he told me, was that the surgeon, like Dr. Mohidan at Grossmont Hospital, accidentally cut her small intestine open and then sewed her up, and then realized it. And then after he realized it was too late to fix it, and she died from sepsis. Yeah, so it was a suspicious way to die, and it was a surgery that she should have recovered from. And then he burned her body against her will, her very, very clearly stated will. Excuse me. And he said she changed her mind. And there's no way she changed her mind, because she was a very uneducated, naive believer Christian. And she literally said, "What if I need my body in the afterlife?" And she's like, "You're not going to need your body in the afterlife." And she's like, "How do you know?" She's like, "Well, I don't want my body. I don't want to be cremated." So she was adamant about it, and he did it anyway. So when he flew, my best friend Charlie Tang and my dad flew with my mom's ashes to Maui to meet me. And we stayed at a condo there, and while I was there, my dad broke into my netbook, and I didn't realize it until later, but he deleted pictures from Niihau, and he deleted the last picture of my mom that he sent me by her hospital bed. She looked terrible, and the look was telling, and my dad had a telling look too. I think the nurse saw something, and perhaps my mom even said, my mom could have said, "Can you take a picture?" But I think this was on the nurses completely, because my mom doesn't look like she was posing or ready for the pose. I think the nurse sensed something or wanted to capture something. So he emailed me that, and then I think he thought better of it and deleted it. And then also my LinkedIn account was hacked last year, totally hacked. I don't think he has the capability to do it, but I think he paid somebody to do it. He's on LinkedIn and thinks he's a successful business person and has business connections. And I think he's been trying to really what's the word for it? It has been his goal for a long time to make me sound and look like an unreliable witness in person when I turn 50, because he knew I'd wake up now, because this was what he said, that I could think about what he did now.
Why would he have somebody hack into your LinkedIn account?
Well, I was living in Hilo, Hawaii, and somehow my Android phone was hacked, perhaps through my router, and my LinkedIn account. I lost some access to one of my email accounts, this Proton account, that had some emails in it. Okay, why? Okay, I would say just fear, just to get me to shut up and stop and choose a different path, and then B, there may have been a specific person in there that he was afraid of. Yeah, maybe he was an old elementary school principal that figured it out, that called me in the office and quizzed me, and I just did this kind of thing to him, and he figured it out, because I couldn't say or the truth, Mr. Woodcock. Perhaps it was like him or somebody like him. It appears that I might have lost the connection. Okay, it appears that I might have lost the connection, but I definitely lost my recommendations. So C or maybe A is my recommendations, because I had some real good solid recommendations from Christians saying I'm a reputable person, I'm a great guy, did a great job with this and that, and they're all gone. So, like I was saying, I think, you know, it goes back to him trying to attack my character and my integrity right now when I need it. And so I look unreliable to a court, a jury, and a police officer. Yeah, I think he stuck around in Maui after that, and decided to harm me with his weapons. And I don't know. He took the wait and see approach. He said, let's just wait and see. If these health problems that I caused, cause you issues, let me know and I'll help you remedy them. Just if you don't smell it, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But see, he caused me, I acquired a breathing problem with him. I was holding my breath and he said, don't hold your breath, like when he was raping me. And because it hurt and I didn't know what to do. And he told me to shut up. I couldn't yell or anything. And then I ended up holding no breath. I would just empty my lungs. And then he said, don't do that, you gotta breathe. And then he started bragging to my mom, like, this guy, I'm training him to be like a Navy SEAL. That's what Navy SEAls do. He's gonna be a great surfer, and if he ever gets thrown under the water, he'll be able to hold his breath forever. And I guess there's some truth to that part, but
What photos do you have to show me?
well, the breathing abnormalities that I've had have prevented me from smelling myself, apparently. Yeah. Did you have a question you were going to ask me a minute ago before that?
Yeah, I was gonna see, because I know you had some photos.
Yeah. Okay, let me zip through these and I'll get you the photos.
Okay.
So I think he might have done something to my taint because there's scar tissue there. He told me not to cry, never to cry, that crying is selfish. So I've never been a crier. Only times I've ever really cried have been maybe a dozen times because of homeless people who make me cry. That's about it. Siblings know what he said and did. He didn't want his mom to know that he raped me. And so I don't know if she ever knew. That was part of it. He wanted me to have a hump on my back right here. So he did some kind of lasering there, and it's not good. I kind of go like that. He wanted me to have like points on my ears, so he lasered there. I've been treating that with like turmeric. He said turmeric changes the skin, and it may not be as obvious what he did if I seriously treat it with turmeric for a long time. Cannabis was the other thing that I should have mentioned a minute ago, is he was saying that cannabis oil is essential for healing the wounds that he caused with these lasers. But he said there's a certain percentage that I had to get it right. That it was about 80% coconut oil, 20% olive oil infused with cannabis. Infuse one of them with cannabis, pick one. And then rub that all over my body over and over and over and over. And I tried it, and it works, and it's good. And he also, I think he sabotaged my Twitter account. I taught a woman's daughter soccer, and she massaged me, and my ex-wife told me that she figured out what my dad did to me, and that she was there one time at my daughter's game, and my dad was there, and something happened. She chewed him out or confronted him or gave him dirty looks, and he figured it out. And so he pretended to be her and antagonized me on Twitter. And when I was in Maui and I lost my account because it was the last suspension when I didn't know it was her at the time, I didn't know it was him at the time, I just thought it was somebody. And I just kind of responded kind of tersely and then whatever, and Twitter said, nope, that's against the rules, that's your last strike, you're gone. So I lost my whole entire Twitter account, and I can get you a good date on that if you want, but that was a shame. And he even went right away and posted that on my Amazon account where I'm selling a book for guitar lessons. Yeah, which was totally inappropriate. And then he deleted it off there. So yeah, I had over 140,000 followers on Twitter, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. They were quality people too, not bots. There's like over 95% legit users. They all clicked. I didn't pay for any of them. I had a method that I was using to follow real people, and real people were following me. I think he had a hand in my DUI when I went to San Diego State and I kept off of order back in 1994. Yeah, I was partying with those guys, and I just wrote a letter to one of my frat bros that he talked to the night that that happened. Yeah, I was drinking at the house. It was about 3 a.m. and the house, it was on Hardy on campus, and my apartment was on campus. So I only had to drive like a mile maybe, and it was very late. And I think I did roll through the stop sign and turn right to try to get back to my house. I got pulled over and got a DUI, and so I have a bad feeling that he had something to do with that. Either he called the cops, or he did the timing. He called the house to figure out when I was leaving, and then called the cops. But he was trying to nail me there. And I stopped drinking and driving. It was a stupid thing to do. Yeah, I've never done that since. So I do not recommend it. I'm not a drinker today. He drinks like a 6-pack of Bud every night. It might be Bud Light. I think my growth was stunted because of all this. I was supposed to be taller. Like my grandpa was 6 foot. And my wingspan, if you measure my fingertips, it's 6 foot 3 inches long. And that's supposed to be your height. But if you measure my height, I'm only 5'10". I used to attribute that to an injury that I acquired playing Pop Warner football when I was 12. I had a growth spurt that summer. I went from 5'3" to 5'8". And I went from 155 to 135 because I played football. Yeah. So I had to make weight for Pop Warner. This was between 7th and 8th grade. And I was mauled with a cheap shot, and it hurt really bad. But in retrospect, it might have been some of the recovery phase. I was also getting hurt and didn't recover right because my body is real jacked up. Like I've got these ribs stick out, and I'm quite certain that's a response from being lasered right here. There's 2 big patches there, and there's so much heat that I went and just raised as I grew. And my lungs are so big they can't fit inside of like a normal scan at the hospital. They need like 2 scans. So I've been super oxygenating my body my entire life. Yeah, and he said that he hit my knuckles. If you look real close, there are some little dots on my knuckles. He said these show up better under a black light, so I tried to see them on a black light. My hands are undersized for my body. They're freakishly small, if you want to say that. My penis is large for my size. So my body parts are just all out of whack. My legs are short and stocky and big for my size, and they shouldn't be that way. My legs should have been longer, but they stopped. They didn't grow to their full length for some reason. And I was supposed to be left-handed, and then he made me be right-handed, and he might have done that with some of these weapons and this pain stuff I'm talking about. He recorded me saying a bunch of words in his house one time, and it was very strange. They're words that I don't normally say, adult words and things like that. And my mom implied that he had a machine that he was looking at my body when I said these things, so he would know when I said them again by scanning and looking at the body and the brain or something. Yeah. These intrusive words just started really happening last year. Yeah. And they've slowed down just in the last 12 hours. I've been emailing him my feelings here and there, and angrily.
When did you move out from that house, the new home?
When I was 17 years old, right before I turned 18, I left my parents' house. We got into a disagreement or something. Me and my father did. And I was staying at a friend's house, and Chris Lamb and Matt Klein in La Mesa, and that was his plan all along. He didn't want me sticking around in the house as an adult for some reason. he offered to pay my way through San Diego State University, and he ended up paying for about like everything but the first 4.5 semesters. My last semester I had to get a loan for though. Yeah, so it kind of went back on that promise. But so I moved into the dorms at San Diego State yeah, I want to say August 20th, and I turned 18 on August 13th. And yeah, and so I still wasn't I think he was always wondering and worrying about me waking up and processing what he told me not to think about before 50. And he thought that was going to be one of those times. And so he came with me with a deal and wanted to give me a car and pay my way through college with some spending money weekly and insurance and a new car and the full ride pretty much. Yeah, and I said, okay. See, so he has wanted to look like the generous father that's given me everything he could possibly give me out of the goodness of his heart. And my mom said he's kept track of every penny he's ever given me. Yeah, in reality, I think they've been, sort of trying to make up for what he did. And he said that before. And he said he was going to give me his house, too. Yeah, my childhood house. He made a huge big deal about it when I was a kid. He told everybody, and he told me to tell everybody, and he told me I had to get excited about it, and I didn't understand how great it was, and on and on and on, and how God was going to be happy and wanted it to work out that way, and how I could get clean that way, how I needed like a hand sprayer to really get under there and get my rear, and I would always have the house, in case I go out in life and fail, and everything hits the fan, and you get divorced, and bad things happen, and you got nothing nowhere. You got the house. Don't worry. And then just out of the blue last year, he said you get nothing. You don't get the house, and you get nothing at all. And this was before I woke up and recalled these things, and I was really kind of at a loss. He said he put everything in the Gastrich family trust, and I'll just get whatever the will says, and he wouldn't tell me what it is. Yeah. Mom said I need a PhD in butt cleaning to stay clean after what he did. My father said if he married somebody that had the problem he caused me, he divorced them immediately. See, I think he set up 2 sexual encounters for me, at least. My 3 sexual encounters. He said, I think, and let me just describe them real quick. The first one was my first kiss. It was in Maui, and there was a girl there that I kissed in a waterfall, but that was kind of minor. I think he set up my first sexual encounter, and I think he set up my cousin to give me oral sex. Yeah, in North Carolina on a vacation there when I was 16 years old, because I actually went there to file against her several years ago, because that was traumatic. When I flew back to pay respects to my great Aunt Dixie who died and has a tomb there, I broke down and I was crying and I couldn't do it. And I recalled her abuse and how I had repressed that even. And then I had to go forward to the police and get therapy before I could even see the tomb. And then there's an issue in North Carolina called the Safe Child Act. Are you familiar with that? Well, what it did was it provided a look-back window for victims of child sex crimes. And so people had like a couple of years to litigate old ones. And I filed in that window, and then it was deemed unconstitutional by a court. And so I've been talking to the attorney who was fighting the whole time for it, like emails over and over and over for months and months until it ended, and they won. So I had the judge in Wilkesboro, North Carolina, paused it, or I don't think they dismissed it technically, they just put it on hold or something until that court case was finished. And now I've got 2 more years to file or to continue the case.
For what happened in North Carolina?
Yeah, she just which she did pales in comparison to what my father's done. But she...
so one of the things too is looking at the statute of limitations of when these crimes occurred, when the sexual assault occurred in California. It looks like we're outside of that window. don't quote me on that. Once Detective Behill comes back, obviously this is all gonna get documented, I'm gonna give it to him. He'll reach out to the DA's office, see if it's, if it's gonna go to them.
Thanks.
But I think we're past the statute of limitations for the sexual assault stuff.
Craig, I understand that
Yeah.
that's how it goes now,
Yeah.
and I understand that it's been rectified in a way where now you can go back and do it with the laws the way it works. But there is a loophole, and I think I qualify for the loophole, and I intend on writing a letter to Summer Stefan here,
Yeah,
because I just realized that this happened to me, you know?
yeah.
I'm just realizing the consequences. Now, the worms literally just happened, you know, just weeks ago. And then the rapes and stuff, they were absent from my recollection until August of last year.
Yeah.
So,
That's why I said don't quote me on it. Once Detective Beale comes back, I'll reach out and see what.
thanks, yeah. Thank you for being honest. I understand that's the law, and it is unfortunate in this specific case,
I
because...
think for civil it's different. I think civil, they just passed a law less than a decade ago where that is extended, but for criminal, like I said, once he reaches out and talks to them, he'll reach out to you and let you know.
Okay. Civil, as far as I understand, is based more on damages.
Yeah.
And if I have damages at this very moment in time, which I do, I think today, yesterday, last week, I think those are things I could sue him for probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I'm gonna file anyway, and I'm gonna try it, and I think I'm gonna win. And I was gonna ask you, how would that work if if I win a civil suit and all these witnesses testify, would y'all consider reopening it or taking it from there?
It's separate. Civil is separate from criminal. Essentially what we'll do on our end is default we can do, right? If it's out of the statute of limitations, we're not gonna interview all the witnesses. Sounds like one of the key witnesses is your mother, and she's not here, unfortunately. But like I said, don't quote me on that. Once he reaches out to the DA's office, he'll tell them about the circumstances and see what they say.
Yeah, sadly there's been, thank you, I think we're on the same page. Sadly there's been attacks for a very long time, and my recent realization of what happened and the recent attacks, I'm confident will let me go forward with my case. And perhaps if I win in the civil case that I have to file now, then perhaps the criminal aspect will look at the testimonies and say, okay, well maybe there is something there that's important. Does that work that way?
So,
Or would you still need the DA to that?
you need it, yeah, because ultimately we do the investigation, give it to them, and then they say yes or no.
Okay.
We're over like an hour. What are some important things, like a couple things, because I do have an appointment at 2
Okay.
as
Awesome.
well.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
your
absolutely,
time.
anytime.
This is exactly what I needed. He said he hopes I like it. What he did to me is lasering, because he said he lasered my ears. He said he wanted me to have like 2 horns. He put 2 things here, one here and one here, 2 dots that I had to treat with turmeric, and on and on and on. He put the stigmata marks on my feet and stuff, and I don't like it. I hate it. He said he turned hairs white with lasering. He wanted me to have this kind of hairstyle, and so this on here is all super prematurely white. I had blamed it on sunscreen before, but now I'm not so sure it's only sunscreen. He fat shamed me. He made me feel so bad that I was a chubby kid. Yeah, he told me not to cry, but he told me like, look at your body. He said like, you're disgusting.
So it sounds like you've been through a lot of emotional stuff as well. Are you seeing a therapist to help you go through it?
Well, I tried to call the therapist that y'all gave me last time I was here, and I spoke to them. They're at San Diego State University, but they're not licensed.
Oh, okay.
So I really want a licensed therapist. Those were just trainees or something.
Okay, I see what you mean.
So I'm gonna go through Medi-Cal or what
Yeah.
have you and get a therapist. I mean, and if you wanna, if you have one or wanna recommend one, I would be thrilled to have yours. Anyone. He used to say I run hot. Yeah, I ran hot because of what he did. It's terrible feeling these scar tissues in the exact spot irritated. I'll just be walking down the street and all of a sudden on my scrotum that's got the mark there, I'll feel it. Or my rear, or my arm. He said this little thing here, see this little dot right there in my eye?
Yeah.
It's like a little bump, like a raised, like a mole or something. He called that my sight. He said when I do this like that, I could use it as a sight. He said he created that and made that with a laser. Yeah. He said he wanted my little toes to be pointed, and he hit that with a laser. He hit the in between the middle of my eyebrows. There's supposed to be like a little V. He said that's what happens. That the laser comes out like a little V. Do you see it like right there? Like,
Kind of. The lighting is not great here.
okay.
Yeah, I can kind of see it.
I got some real suspicious abdominal injuries on the left around 2017, like in Maui, and then on the right in 2024 in Hilo, and I think both have to do with him. He doesn't like how I look, and he wants to change me to change my body, and he thinks I can. He used to want me to be a bigger kid, and now I think he wants me to be a real lean kid, and he's going to hurt me until I get that way, is what he was saying. So I believe he was in Maui in 2017. He used one of the weapons to irritate the scar tissue here, to hurt under here, and 2024 the right. 2017 it was like a pop, like that. It was so weird. And then it was a little irritated after. And I was worried about it. I didn't know what the heck it was. And then this one I thought it had to do with a futon that I was sitting on, because I was taking fluconazole to get rid of an infection, a fungal infection. And I took it for several weeks. And I was thinking maybe it lowered my resistance or it harmed my organs or something, because I got this pain here, unique, first time ever, and then it was kind of nagging, kind of sharp, and then nagging after. And in retrospect, and after I've been feeling what he's been doing lately, what I think he has been, I think they're related. And he got in my eyebrows. Apparently he wanted me to have like real thin, pencil thin eyebrows like that, and pluck them and look stupid and gay. And so he like put some holes in my eyebrow hairs like that. Yeah. There's a mole on my pec that I think he might have done. A mole under my pec. Red dots. I can show you the black white pig. Maybe say those odd words.
Well, let's go through just because we're kind of short on time. Let's see the pictures that you have.
He says he's bisexual. Or this gobble right here. He said that I might need gobble surgery. That he didn't want me to have one of these gobbles, like a double or just a random or whatever. He wanted to make me have a single line right down here. And he said the only way it's not going to be there is if I get really, really, really lean. And maybe do some facial exercises, and I might even need surgery to repair this. And he also did a line here. I don't wear glasses, never worn them, but it kind of looks like I do or have or whatever, because he also put one there because he wanted symmetry. But those were really just tricks. My mom said that she caught him lasering me and said he was doing just this, but in reality he was doing my body all over the place. Let me just tell you about the urinating, then I'll show you the pictures.
Okay.
The last thing.
Cool.
I did get vertigo on a soccer field and had to be treated for that. And then now I wonder if that had to do with him when I was coaching. Okay, great. So the last thing before the pics is, my shoulders pop out sitting. Like, ouch, I just popped it back into joint, yeah. And I believe that's because I was lasered here, and I was injured playing football like this, not sure if I was hit with something, but at that exact moment, but I felt like a lightning sharp pain go whoosh, like nerve pain shoot through my arm, and it all just went limp and numb and dead, like a wet banana or something. And I shook it out, and then I had to get a shot in it, and it hurt a lot, and it's not quite right today. But the last thing before the pig, so urinating. There's something to do with urinating that he's doing with his weapons, and I think because he did the scar with the laser, he uses the other one to stop me from pissing. So when I piss, I stop, and then I piss and stop, and piss and stop, and he started doing that when I was living there, and I remember him talking to me about it. And saying how it's like a kegel, or like how I should stop peeing and hold all my muscles real tight like that, and then let go. And then that's a way to like strengthen those muscles, and also maybe not come as quick if you're having sex with someone. But that has been painful and strange, having that feeling in my penis and not being able to just every single time pee 100% until the urine's gone. And sometimes it ends up keeping a little urine in there. So there's some strange urination issues. Okay. So I sent letters to Charlie, my best friend, my ex-wife, uncles, uncle, church, soccer club, CIF, Granite Hills, where he coached, my cousin who had oral sex with me, gave me rape. Statutory raped me, I guess you could say. My mom's sister, University of Hawaii, because he went there and then I went there. His brother Ross, Brian, my cousin, who knows some stuff. Rob Davila lives across the street from him and was in my high school with me. Officer Vija, David St. John, pastor at Shadow Mountain, Greg Giles, eye doctor, old friend. Horizon School, where my daughter went. Suzanne Lutz, an old friend. Chris Lusty, fraternity friend. Brian Snow, an old roommate who's a pastor at Shadow Mountain. Pat Keogh, an old high school friend who knows stuff. My friends in high school figured it out, and they were afraid of my dad and didn't know how they were going to testify today. And some of them said they could count on me. Some of them said, please, I'm afraid. Please don't think. Now, this is Calvary Baptist Church said that they caught him with his machine in the parking lot, and I started feeling pains in my body there in Linda Vista in my office chair when I was renting office space from that church. And so that church, I'm going to visit them. They're supposed to know everything. The pastor there, Pastor Howard Everett, told the owners of the property he had to what was going on, because they thought he was like a creep or somebody weird, because he was like lingering out there with a machine in his car messing around and sending me pains, and we didn't know what the heck was going on. So I think that's a pretty important one. The Pastor Howard Everett said he's like doesn't want to deal with it. He's too afraid, because somehow he sniffed it out. My dad always hated him. They always were confrontational. And then I just sent a letter to my across the street neighbors who might know some things, and my mom might have told them. They moved a couple of years ago. And then my other cousin and my aunt. Okay, so let me look back at my pics. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, no worries.
There's something I'm hiding in here. So.
Alright.
I'm looking for a good picture that would just show you with my eyes as black as they were. That's not about them. Could you see my eyes black there? This is December 9th, 2024. Like, could you compare my face then and my face now? Do they look the same?
That's pretty close.
And then let me show you a little bit. They got real bad when I was getting them out. I didn't take too many pictures of these things because I think that he hacked my devices and things. And I didn't put them online because he gets off on these types of things, I think. So I've been real leery about posting them. He said there was one mark on my arm right here where he used with the laser, and he hit the same spot every time when I wouldn't let him sodomize me. Because he said I started putting my hand like in between my legs like this, like and like locking it. And then he tried to move it and he couldn't, so then he would just laser my arm over and over and over. And then I think he created these other spots on my arms that just showed up out of nowhere. Okay, this is an interesting. Okay, just for point of reference, this is my body here on, I'll show you my body in a minute, but this is April 10th, what I look like. You know, I look pretty clean. I just vacated my apartment and I just sent them the keys yesterday. I was living there for months. I was living here since last year. Okay, there's the spot. There's the one spot on my arm that's been there for years and years and years and years and years. And I never really knew what it was. I'm also going to show you some old dark spots like that that indicated a very old wound. This is when these spots first started coming on. And my house is very clean, it had a very nice studio apartment. There's this dark eyes again. I started doing a weekly podcast about 6 weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah, kind of nothing else. It keeps, it's a good indicator of how my body is. Yeah, my eyes are a lot darker there. When I put the turmeric on and the worms came out, they got lighter. There, I have the turmeric on my face. The orange. I recorded a video of me standing different strange ways, but I could definitely just show you that too. Look at this. All of a sudden these red marks started showing up like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He claims that he claims that he's got a weapon that can slow the life cycle of these worms, and that he could keep them in my head for forever or for a very long time, because what he claims is that he can essentially kill them with a laser. But they find a way to kind of hide out in the larval stage or the very beginning stage, and if he does something different or doesn't do it all, then they'll still be in there growing very, very, very slowly. And so this big red mark just appeared out of nowhere. I'm not sure if that's from a weapon or from these things, but they appeared on both sides of my face. And it was painful. This whole thing was very painful. It was like a burning sensation all over my face when these things came out. I've got a lot of pictures of these tissues and crap. The eggs are like these little orange things. So there's a good picture of a worm. one. Basically the coat of a turmeric. That's kind of how they popped out. It's there.
Do you want to show me the way you stand? I gotta head out and prep for another interview.
Yeah. This is what happened with my arm next. See, look at this June. All these marks broke out in my apartment in Portland.
Mm.
Can you believe that? Yeah, so that's what I'm suffering from. And he, for two reasons, I think. One, he said he wanted to cover up the mark that he did and make it look insignificant. And the other, he just wanted me to suffer and see it on the top. And they're not like on my back or on my legs or on the back of my neck. My mom made him promise he wouldn't touch my face. And so I'm suffering from these sorts of marks on both of my arms, and they're just finally going away. And I'm trying really hard to keep them clean because they got itchy, and I itched them, and then they got worse. It was really, really bad. And then my skin looked like it had been zapped. I'd never seen my skin like this before. Yeah, this stung so bad. Look at that.
Mm.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It looked like I had radiation poisoning or something. I just had like these, just like weird, watery looking bags. Yeah. And even a mark there and a mark there. I had some marks on my chest too. This was literally like right before I flew down here. Yeah, right before I moved and left and vacated and then flew to San Diego. Oops, sorry. I'll be happy to show you what I stand. I guess it seems normal to me, but for some, okay. This is normal for me.
Mm-hmm.
I lock my knees and I stand like this. I guess what's normal for most people is to have like a little bit more play in their knees. Pardon me. And you kind of notice when I'm leaning. See, I'm leaning like this. I've got different ways to lean. And this arm, I do this with this arm because it's easier. And stuff like, say if I want to clean like this, it'll be like, I can do this. Yeah, so that's like not a normal way of standing. And like my arms, like I said, they're so long, I can easily do like that. Or I can easily do like that. Or like this. So they used to call it like an A-frame, my parents did, because I would become like an A like this. And then I would lean. Yeah, I guess he hated me leaning, but then I would do like this. And part of it was to get away from whatever he has.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever he has is directional. And when I do this, it's not as bad for some reason. And when I lean, it doesn't hit the same spot that it was hitting a second ago.
Okay.
And so I learned to stand wrong because it was the most comfortable thing. And then I learned to lean when I felt more pain that I didn't understand. And I think those are the main things.
Okay.
But yeah, and it was normal to me, and I'm not gay, but people have said that like my ex-wife used to say something about me standing funny, because sometimes I do this, or something like this, and he hated that, and he hates that, because he thinks I look gay. But I'm not trying to look gay, I'm trying to balance myself, and my body is just out of whack, because my arms are so long, and I've got these weird pains.
Yeah. All right, Jason.
Can I show you the marks on my feet?
Sure.
Okay. Remember, my mom told me that she wanted me to show the investigator head to toe. Can I just?
No, we'll just do feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. The ankles are part of the big problem. Right here, right here. Let's see, right there. I used a black light thinking it was going to show up better, but it didn't really show up a lot better. But there's some scar marks from what was done that are like generally little round circles. He had these biblical things in mind. Like this foot has been hurting, and he said like it was going to hurt to get justice, like crushing under your foot or something. Mm-hmm. And so I've had some foot pain, random foot pain. And I think a full examination would show what's going on, because I've got like these random marks, these old scar marks that don't make. See that right there?
Yeah. Have you gone to a primary care doctor and shown him all this?
That's a key one. That's how they look all over my body, like the old round scars. I don't know if they're.
I'd definitely bring it up to them. Jason, I got to end the interview.
Okay.
I got another appointment, interview meeting at 2, 20 minutes. But like I said, I'm going to document all this, and once Detective Behill comes back, I'll have him reach out to you. I'm going to reach out to the DA's office, okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
I feel so much better now, at least that I can tell you everything I know and everything current. Because that's a lot of information.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take the law into my own hands. You know, I want the justice system to work.
Yeah.
And I love my dad, but this was just way, way over the line. And now I see him as a very different person. And, you know, I want justice for my mom and justice for me. I've been abused and abused and abused, and I just can't take it anymore. You know? And it's just not fair for him to be hurting me, and I'm now living in the 5-bedroom house of where I used to live, you know, telling me that I'll never get it by himself.
Yeah. I definitely maybe fall into